We designed this project based on the idea that information has no value if it is not being used. We also recognize that there's a huge gap between open data that lives online and the offline communities to whom this data really matters. And so we designed this project to try to bridge that gap between the online and the offline. We chose to work in Makueni County in Kenya because in Wote and other parts of Makueni County, there's a lot of development projects that have open data components to them. And so we have a lot of data from these projects that are directly connected to the community. And we wanted to see if this open data was actually being used by the community, if the community was actually taking this data and doing anything with it.
We have done development here quite a time now, and one of the challenges I'm finding is how to share information out to people. Very few people know what's happening here.
Even though most of the projects have been done in the area, most people did not have information.
A key component of the design of this project was to tap into existing networks, existing groups, and existing meeting schedules that were already in this community. We worked with local leaders so that they could convene the necessary stakeholders and bring them together to the sessions that we conducted, which were at the core of this project.
When I realized it's about awareness on the projects around here, I was telling them, let's come. We will be discussing about projects around here. We'll be talking about the projects that the government has done around here.
Once the participants arrived in the session, we wanted to assess how much really did they know about open data in general and how much did they know about the data of the projects in their community. They actually weren't familiar with the data at all. And so with facilitators from that same community, we split the members of the community into different groups in which they could look at the data and discuss the data with one another. And because the community members knew the project so well, they knew whether the data was actually representative of what had happened in the projects or not. One of the best ways to get open data communicated across the community would be to have community members explain that data themselves to others. So what we did was have them work with local artists that helped them visualize what they had seen in the data sheets in a way that it would present it in images and in posters that then the community members could bring to markets and to public locations and explain that data through the posters to other community members that hadn't been part of our session.
Most people here are illiterate. If you use a poster, it explains it better. Well, and also, sometimes seeing is believing. A picture is different from data. I mean, word data. So somebody seeing it will have the picture easily in their minds than when they are just reading notes or information.
What we also did was work with a local radio station. And so what we did in our session was record radio commercials in which citizens would explain the point of the data that they found the most interesting. They would end the ad by asking a question, and then we added an SMS shortcode to the radio advertisement so that any listeners could then text their reactions back, closing that feedback loop.
It has come to even to the most local person in the community. Once they see the picture, they'll be curious to know more about it. And for the radios, many people listen to radios, so they'll hear, they'll get the communication through radios.
What we found with this project is that citizens really do care about the data of the projects that are taking place in their community. Open data plays a crucial role in empowering citizens and giving them the tools so that they can participate in the decision-making processes that impact the everyday lives of them, of their families, and their communities. It is when citizens have data about the projects and the services that are being delivered to them that they can ensure that those projects and those services meet their needs.
They started to realize that information is power. And if they have that information, they started to realize that they can participate in development programs from planning through all the stages to the completion of projects.
It's very important for the people to get involved with these projects because they are the final user, end user of all these projects is the local person, the person at the ground.
So if people have this information, they can monitor what is done, what is being done before. If they can access that information earlier, and they can monitor what will be done.
These projects are theirs. It's part of them.
I think this is something that should be repeated more often, not just a day and you go. Come again and again, or other people should continue doing this. We can repeat this here, the same thing, and I think we'll do that.
If we truly want to harness the potential of open data, if we want to ensure that open data leads to as much of a positive impact as it can have, we need to make sure that we bring open data offline, and we need to make sure that the demand for open data informs the supply of open data and not the other way around, so that we can go from data that is simply open to data that is truly open.